Are you looking to get ready, be prepared, and transform your financial future? Then you've come to the right place. This is the Get Ready Money podcast with Tony Stewart, where Tony has insightful conversations with financial experts who are changing the way we think about money. Catch up on the latest financial trends and hear practical advice from Tony and his expert guests so you can build healthy habits that work. Be empowered with tips for implementing small changes that can have a big impact on your financial future. So sit back and get ready to hear from today's guest.
Welcome to the Get Ready Money podcast, changing the way we think about money. I'm pleased to be joined today by Faith Teope, Matt Gardner, Derrick Wesley, and Chris Mouzon. In this episode, we'll be discussing why it's time to change the way we think about financial literacy. Welcome, everyone, to the Get Ready Money podcast. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
We're excited.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys all here again. So, let's start off with a quick round of intros, a little bit of origin story and your connection with financial literacy. Chris, you want to start off?
Yeah, I'll open it up. And actually, before I open it up, here's a shameless plug. I got oh man, I got to
pull back. Yeah, put it on your chest.
In the chest.
Yeah.
There we go. The Get Ready.
The blueprint.
That's right. If you guys haven't gotten it, Tony has dropped this awesome guide to changing the way we think about money. You should go out there and get it. So that's a shameless plug for you, Tony.
Okay.
I did not pay Chris for this.
Tony love.
That's it. But yes, guys, I'm Chris Mouzon, financial coach. Also have an insurance background, here to just educate people about money. My wife and I have been here in the industry, teaching people money for, going on 10, 11 years now. We get the privilege of lifting up the hood under people's financial life and really diving in and giving them some guidance. We all know that most times we're not getting the most guidance in our financial life unless we seek it out. And we've been super passionate about just sitting down with ordinary, everyday people like us and just helping them guide their way to whatever they want financially. And so we're always super excited to have these financial conversations. Yep.
Faith, you want to go next?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I am Faith Teope, and I am the CEO of Leverage Retirement. And also as a multimedia journalist, I am a children's financial literacy author, an editor of Fortunaire, Money Talk, and the contributor to Safe in Harm's Way as a financial abuse advocate. And I'm also the host of an investigative miniseries called Savvy that explores the systemic gaps in financial literacy. And I'm thrilled to be here. At this stage in my passion, it's really stemming from being a mother and wanting to make sure that my kids have the skills that they need. And then rinse and repeating that and sharing that from my family to yours.
Awesome, Matt.
Greetings, everyone. Mac Gardner, certified financial planner, author of a couple books. One is called Motivate Your Money, and the other is called The 4 Money Bears. I also serve as the founder and chief education officer of a company called FinLit Tech, which is short for financial literacy technology. Our mission is simple. Our mission is to build a bridge between financial literacy and financial technology to provide and promote overall financial wellness to communities across the country. And I am a huge fan of Tony and everyone on here. I've been watching everyone grow and watching everyone's ventures do really, really awesome things and help make an impact. So thanks for having me again, Tony.
Yeah, glad you're here. Derrick.
Right. Last but not least, right? Tony, thank you for having me on. Derrick Wesley, owner and founder of Seedlyng Financial Education. We work with schools, banks, and nonprofits to provide our innovative financial literacy tools for teachers, mainly in the classroom. We have a train-the-trainer model because we know a lot of teachers aren't financially savvy and they might need a little extra help and support. So we make sure that they have all of the tools that they need to be successful. And thank you for inviting me on, and I'm happy to be back with the band again.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys are all here again. Guys and women, sorry, Faith. So let's get into it. The first question on my mind is, what degree of impact do you all feel that financial literacy is currently having? Is it really making a difference?
All right, who wants to grab that one? Because that's a double-edged sword right there.
It is
Oh, Matt.
double-edged sword.
So, actually, I was going to say ladies first.
Ladies first.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think Faith
Put you
got
on
to
the
go.
bait.
All right.
Put you on the spot.
I think that, of course, there is an impact. And I do think that we are seeing improvement because we live in the information age. So people have access to that insight when they want it. As far as the formal programs and the books that are out there, sometimes I think that as finance pros, we think that we are holding the button on a water fountain. And we're like, here's the information you wanted just when you were thirsty for it. And then out of excitement, or just because we have so much knowledge, we tend to push too hard on that button, and then it's just hitting them in the face. So it comes from a great place. I think sometimes not sometimes, I still see so much fire hosing. And so I think we are making an impact. I think that financial literacy and all the different programs out there are making an impact. I just don't think it's landing as solidly as it could. So I think there is room for improvement.
Yeah, I'll echo that. What frames my response here is something that I think we are all seeing a lot more of. We are all seeing a lot more content, a lot more stuff out there about money, right? We're just seeing it. Mm-hmm. Social media, marketing, states are promoting, hey, financial education, financial education. So that's the pro. We are seeing more of it. And by default, when you see more stuff or hear more stuff and more content's being thrown out, yeah, it's landing on more ears. The question, though, is what type of content is being presented and how useful that content is and where it's coming from. And so that's why, it's really important. I'm glad that it seems to be more of a focus now. I think COVID pushed a lot of people to that edge, like, whoa, this financial stuff is important because I'm not making money. I need to know how to manage this stuff. But I think we also just need to be really careful as to what's out there and where the content is being derived from the sources that they're pushing out.
Well, that's really good. I think that if there is a pro that I can think of, it's that it's sparking the conversation. I know if we go back 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 years, we're not talking about it as much, right? And so if there's anything that's coming from this overload, this fire hose of information that we're seeing, is that people are actually having conversations. Coworkers are having conversations with each other. Family members are talking about it because they're seeing it. But that also, right, to the downside of that, they don't know what to think now. They don't know what to believe because there's so much information out there that they need someone to kind of say, hey, let's not take in this bit of information because it might not suit you, but this bit of information might suit you. So it's really just finding a way to have some wisdom and decipher like what is the right information for that person. But I think the benefit of it is that we're actually starting more of the conversations and more people are talking about it.
Yeah, really good point, guys. And from my aspect and the lens I'm looking at it through, as an educator, I'm seeing that more and more states are requiring it for graduation. And so that's a huge thing. That's really good that more schools, districts are going to be looking for resources to provide to the students inside of the classroom. And that impact, though, that's a key word, Mac. I think you had kind of touched on it a little bit, that impact, where you're getting the information from. Is it good information? Is it valid? And so even as part of what we offer to the schools, whether it's reading or math or science or history, whatever it is, you want to know if the students are actually learning and mastering the content. And that's something that we really focus on, making sure that the students are mastering it, because we can give them all the information in the world, but are they actually learning it? Are they actually getting it? And so that's something even for the adults, their parents, they're being flooded with so much, but how do they know is the right information? And so that's something on our end that we definitely keep in mind when working with our students, to make sure that our partners are vetted, that that the content we provide, that it's aligned to the state standards, so that the students are actually getting the right information. Because before we jumped on, remember we were talking about all of the social media content that's out there, but is it good information? So it's getting better slowly but surely.
Yeah, I'm with all of you. I think part of it is the overwhelm, but Derrick, I think you really hit on it is the information actually helping people? Are they actually able to do something with it? Because there's no shortage. And I think, Chris, you may have mentioned this is, it's all over there and it's disparate, it's coming from all kinds of different sources. And so how do people figure out what's good, what's not good? I mean, what do you guys think is, how can people start to evaluate what is valuable information, what's not
Good
valuable
question.
information?
Oh my gosh, how are they supposed to decipher what's valuable and not? I mean, let's just put this in perspective of nutrition and fitness.
Mhm.
If you try to Google how to lose 10 pounds, I don't know, in 24 hours, you're going to get so many different responses of
Yeah,
what to eat, what to detox, how to work out. How are you supposed to know? You won't. You won't, because you don't have enough of the skill set to decipher, okay, this person is talking like this because they're whatever, they're coming from this background, or you just have no idea if they just, wrote that and gave you this insight and it actually would never work for anyone.
Yeah. I think about this and I speak about and I play in this space a lot. And the thing that is really concerning for me as as we're watching this space unfold, this financial literacy, financial technology, fintech, FinLit, social media is driven by likes. It's driven
Mm.
by how many eyeballs you can pay to capture. It's not driven necessarily by the quality of the person, the background of the person. I know tons of extremely qualified advisors in this space that have very little to no presence in social media, like none. But then we could list off a bunch of people who just have a page or have a presence or blah, 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 blah. And because they have a bunch of likes and a bunch of people watch them, people just default, well, they must know what they're talking about because a lot of people listen to talking to them. So we need to be careful when we have social media and we're utilizing all these tools. There's tons of information out there, but we got to find a better way to vet it because anyone can say anything.
Mm.
I see that happen so much, Mac, right? Like one of the things that I think we've kind of prided ourselves on over here is that we're part of people's what we call trusted board of advisors, right? Like one of my good buddies is in the health space. And he's always like, you need a personal board of advisors, right? Like, is there some person that you go to just for money? Is there some
Mhm.
person that you go to just for
okay.
health? Just for marriage, just for relation, like, is there someone that you believe and trust in to do that? And we've done a good job of that, so that now I have, and a lot of the people I work with have sent me information on the internet that they see because they
Mhm.
value my opinion on what I'm going to write, what I'm going to say
Yeah.
about that. So they'll
Yeah.
send me an article. Hey, what are your thoughts on this? Hey, they'll send me a TikTok. Hey, is this true? Like, is this all I have to
Mm.
do? Right.
Yeah,
And then I'll be like, oh, I don't know. Like, let's stay away from that. Let's set up some time. Let's talk about it. Right. But I
Yeah.
think that's important that that people have someone that they check off and say, hey, I don't know about this. What are your thoughts on it? And ideally, if it's a professional, that would be great, right? And so I think we have to find a way to make ourselves available so people know, hey, I trust your opinion and you know my situation specifically. So is this information that I should apply or not?
very good points. Well, what I'm hearing is that you have to have a community, right? A financial education community of people that you can trust. I'm gonna throw this to you all kind of as a question that I'm thinking about listening to you talk since that's kind of the space where you all operate. How do you get people to open up within that community though to get over saying I don't know? Because I know that's a challenge for a lot of folks, right? They might be fearful to admit they didn't know something, or they might not even want to open up and engage in a conversation at all. How can someone that's looking for being a part of a community like that be able to open up and just understand it's okay. You don't know it all. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah,
Magic
I think
question.
there's
Go ahead. Go ahead.
there's like three different angles here. So there, to directly answer you, Derrick, I think that's a challenge for those that are on the front lines as financial professionals to make sure that we are being approachable and not creating a culture of shame. But Tony, you asked a question that spawned this whole thing about, well, how do they know what's true? And then Chris, I think that you were really leaning into this, is that, you said somebody sent you a TikTok and said, is this true? And so I think what really got pinpointed there was that individual was seeking the information. So all the information that is out there, will people be able to decipher what's right and what's wrong, or what's misleading? Not on the offset necessarily. They may lean on somebody who they think that they trust, but then it will be up to them when they're seeking that one piece of information to compare and contrast to other sources. And unfortunately, that's what it's going to take. But I think it's going to be bigger issues where they'll have to do that. I mean, they're not going to say, should I open a savings account with this institution or this institution? That's not going to be that big of a deal, right?
Yep.
But on the bigger issues, maybe a tax question or something.
That's
Well,
huge.
Faith, I think you hit on something is, I don't think people sit at home and go, my big question is like, okay, should I have a Schwab account or should I have a Fidelity account? Their question is like, okay, am I going to have enough money for retirement? Where do I invest my money?
Yep.
They don't sit there and go, gosh, should I really open a Schwab account to this? This is not a shout out to Schwab by any means, but nothing for or against Schwab. I'm a Schwab customer, but that I don't think that's what people are looking for, and I think that's an issue with a lot of the financial education material. And Derrick, you were starting to go down that road. Is that for a lot of people, they've never dealt with money, maybe in their family. They didn't talk about money, or culturally there's issues. And I think that may be part of why people aren't accessing, because there's billions of videos on 401ks. But I don't know if that's what people are really looking for. I mean, maybe that's part of it for me. I don't know, what do y'all think?
I look at culture a lot of times, and I look at your community a lot of times, and I look at, okay, where do people go to for guidance? Something wrong with your health? Pick up a phone, family doctor, somebody in the community takes care of that. May have an attorney or something. And I think our profession as a sort of financial planning, wealth management profession is still so young that there's not the default. There may be a CPA in your community that you go to for your taxes. I'm just trying to think, like, sort of broad picture, like where did you go to in the past for this information when you want it? Now, with that, the proliferation of technology and fintech and all this stuff, you can literally go on and you can find something somewhere, but is it going to be germane to you? And so I think that's really where we have to work to leverage technology more, because if you're in a community that doesn't have these resources, you got to get it from somewhere, right? But then you have to find someone that understands your specific needs, your specific wants, your specific cultures, and so that ideal thing hasn't been built yet, and we would love to be able to help build it.
That's awesome. I think these are the right conversations, Derrick. The thing that kept popping in my mind when you were saying, like, how do you get people to be open and kind of just go through it if they're undereducated? It's really about creating safe spaces, right? Just a space where people feel safe to say, I don't know. And Faith, you said, right, like a lot of professionals, right, get into that shaming, like, you can't do this, and right, look at yourself if you do this. But it's really like, how do we create safe spaces for someone to come to us and say, no, I don't understand how this works. Like, can you explain that again? Or, right, what would be the best way to do this? And I think in, social media age, right, there's not a lot of safe spaces. Like, the comments are not safe, right? Like, there's certain places that just aren't safe out there. And so I think if we can create more smaller communities of safety, people will be more open to learning and kind of getting the information that they need and applying it.
Okay, so start small, right? Smaller communities that are safe spaces to start to build from, and kind of thinking about, Mac, how you mentioned also the cultural aspect of things, and just thinking about the Black culture and the big rims and the shiny things, and the seeing the people online with stacks of money. That's unrealistic. And I think there really needs to be a shift in the way that we look for people that, yeah, okay, they have some money, but how do they get their money? You're not going to be able to get your money the same way that person got it. Or if it's an NBA player, they are 7 foot tall. They can shoot the ball. You can't. What is your opportunity to tap into your unique skill set to be able to make money for yourself and then learn how to invest that money? So I really believe there also needs to be a culture shift online, and we can't just look at those pictures and those videos that are being posted, and we need to be able to decipher the real from the fake. And it seems like a lot of people aren't able to do that, unfortunately.
Oh, well, I mean, hold on. Let me be a little voice of controversy here. Yes, social media can be infiltrated with things that are not real, but I would love to challenge the word realistic. Now, the situation where there's a 7.5 foot basketball player, to me, 5'1", I will never be an NBA player. Okay. No matter how hard I work, I'm just not going to be able to compete with that. Okay, that realistic, that's not the part I'm talking about. Stacks of money, living on a yacht and drinking champagne, traveling every other Wednesday, those things don't have to be unrealistic. I think what we need to help people, and this goes back to your question, Tony, what do people really want? I think we need to help them identify that. Because I
Good.
think
Yep.
we chase this thing, we think that that's what we want. But if we stop long enough, no, okay, that's not what I want. What I want is to be able to keep doing that and not have to worry about money. That's a real want. Being on a yacht and drinking a glass of champagne isn't the want. So I think that that could be an interesting experiment to dig into, or interesting topic to find out with people. Maybe it's not the safe space to reveal their low financial acumen. Maybe it's a safe space to say, do you even know what your dreams are? And how can I help you clarify and articulate those for yourself? Because once they can articulate it, finance pros can help you. They can come along so easily, because they're like, okay, now I have a goal. Now I have a mission. But we don't have a mission if we don't know what they even really want.
Dave, I think you're hitting on
Cue the Spice Girls, right?
Love that.
What do you really, really want?
I really think that's hitting on the main point, and that's almost the biggest challenge in our society. We're talking about social media a bunch, almost because of it, right? Because we don't ever get a chance to slow down. The society has us running so fast and thinking of so many different things that we often don't slow down to get clarity on what we actually want. You typically bring this scripture into play where it says, right, where there's no vision, people perish. And in another translation, it says, where there's no vision, people cast off restraint. And so a lot of what we see right now is people casting off restraint to like the right now, because they don't have the vision for where they're actually trying to go, and the clarity of like what they actually want money for and what their lifestyle, what they want it to be like. Most people have this idea of what they want to do for work and then the things they might want to buy, right? But they don't really have clarity on lifestyle, on time freedom, on relationships and those things. So in the short term, restraint is cast off. And so the things that we can get right now become a little bit more attainable to us. But I think that vision conversation, that clarity conversation, absolutely is the key, Faith. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, that's really helpful for people to find out those safe spaces and, and think about their goals. That's what's missed so often, is not thinking about goals first instead of just shoving a bunch of solutions at them. And I think that gets back to what we were talking about earlier with that overwhelm of information. So, we touched on it a little bit with the cultural question, but one thing always on my mind is, serving different demographics. Do you all think that financial literacy is serving all demographics? Is financial literacy equal for all?
Okay, I'm going to jump on this one because I was literally talking about this yesterday with some colleagues of mine about socioeconomic levels, financial education. Financial literacy is something for everyone. Everyone needs it. Last I checked, in these United States of America, if you want to buy something, you need money, right? That's a check. And so We haven't gotten to the Bitcoin all the way yet. Could you theoretically use some Bitcoin and some Ethereum, some other wonky stuff? Yes. But so in a capitalist society that is a consumer-based economy as well, you need to have education, no matter how many commas you have in your financial plan, estate, whatever. So everyone needs it now. What we as advisors fight with or contend with is making something that everyone needs unique to that person. And that's the big challenge that we have, I believe, in our society, is taking in all these cultural community, all these different things that are a value system to you, and taking this one commodity and weaving that into your life to get to your goals, to get to all those different things. So that's my stance on it, is that everyone needs education, but we need to find some way to align the goals, the right tools, the right vehicles to get you to where you need to get.
Agree.
Yeah,
I
no,
agree.
I've seen a lot of studies. I don't know if all of you've seen them, but you know how women have a lower level of financial literacy than men, different, you know, racial ethnicities, there's lower levels of financial literacy. I mean, that's sort of where I was coming from
Mhm.
with the question. I mean, are you seeing that as well?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Tony, to Mac's point, it's just everyone needs it, but everyone needs it at a different level, right? I call it the levels of money, the 101, the 202, 303 levels of money, right? Like, but you might take in information that's at a 303 level, but you're technically at a 101 level and you don't know the difference. So you think you
Mm.
should, so it's not going to resonate with you as much. So it's really about finding, you know, if you take it to, you know, a socioeconomic group, or, you know, different ethnicities, whatever the case, they understand money differently, different terminology, different thoughts, you know, different upbringings around money. So the way that someone gets educated in that space might have to be a little bit different. And we just have to do a better job of actually kind of pinpointing what that person needs, or that group of people need, and speak directly to them instead of making these blanket general financial statements about what to do. It won't resonate with anyone. And so, right, they all often say, like in marketing, right, if you talk to everyone, you're talking to no one, right? So I think that's what we're dealing with.
So
And oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go
So what I
ahead.
was going to say, with the creation of the app, that we have, that was one of the things that we were trying to address, with our students. So basically, you take a short diagnostic assessment based on your age and your current financial level of knowledge, and it builds out a personalized curriculum to speak to the point that you guys are making as far as how important it is to be able to receive content that you can digest yourself, based off of your own experiences, and then being able to get advice, get content based on your personal preferences also. So how do you all, as financial advisors, once you have that person and you see those challenges, those cultural challenges versus or male versus female, how are you all overcoming those challenges with your clients?
Well, I think that's a great question. And I think that this is really less about the demographics. I mean, if we take women, for instance, we're getting a snapshot picture of those statistics. And what are the generations, even just two before mine? It was a generation that deferred to their spouse, deferred to the men.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
so it's unfair snapshot, I think. I think we need to wait. If we want to do an assessment of women versus men, I think we need to wait on that statistic to really get something solid, unless we want to say, okay, we're taking that snapshot because we want to address Gen X and boomers. That's different. As far as demographics too, I would say let's be careful about the demographic conversation, because while it gives us a blanket to say, okay, we can generally target a group like this, because when I was growing up, I was, and I've told you guys this story before. I was 5 years old and I wanted to buy a snack at school. And so I asked my mom for money so I could buy that snack. And she told me, I will not give you money. I will let you buy something at the market. You can get something and sell it to your friends and eat your profit. that that is coming from
Yeah.
an extremely poor, not just family, village. Okay. The whole area was devastated, is still devastatingly poor. So a certain money conversation to my mom about her family would be very different than probably her
Mhm.
neighbor who
Mm.
is twiddling their thumbs, wondering if fish is going to come in that day. Same demographic, though, same
Yeah.
amount of
Mm.
coming,
It,
different
it,
mindset.
it's that whole abundance versus scarcity mindset, and it doesn't matter what color of skin you are. I think that's one of the bigger drivers in how you relate to and interrelate money with people is do you come from a place where money was just bountiful and you could just do whatever you wanted to do, or you came from a place where you didn't have a lot of it and that just drives some of the habits that happen in your life. And so I agree with everything that's being said on here. It is hard to kind of say, okay, because of this swath of our population or this, that, and the third. I think the socioeconomic levels that a person just happens to be in dictates a lot of some of this innate view. Because remember, the first habit you pick up from your parent is your parent spending habit.
Mhm.
It's been tested. It's the conversations that are had about money in the household when you're very young that you just pick up. And so that I think drives a lot of the need for financial education and why I like Chris's point. You got some 101s, you got some 201s, you got some 301s, because I'm not going to be talking about derivatives and tax deferred and all these different things to someone who's making $40,000, $50,000 a year and is really trying to make ends meet. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and maybe that it does sound like that is the better way to frame it. And I think that's where you're going, Derek, with your app is, the customizing it for where somebody is at. It is, I think, maybe the future. And maybe that's why this mountain of financial literacy advice doesn't really work. And Faith, what you were talking about with nutrition and diet, I've used that as an analogy as well, because the diet that works for me is not going to be the diet that works for you, Faith. Different diets are going to be successful. I mean, so, maybe that is the lens we need to change instead of focusing on men versus women, Asian,
That's a
Black,
good point.
whatever.
Yeah.
That it's your circumstance. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Fong Long. Mac, you probably are,
mhm.
and some of the research she's done. That how you grow up with the amount of money in your house impacts how financially literate you're going to be, because if your parents have to both work, they're not at home helping you study, and you may not have access to some of the same resources somebody who grows up in a wealthy neighborhood, and that impacts
Mhm.
financial literacy, which is what you were saying, Mac,
Mhm.
about the socioeconomic stuff. So that brings us up to fintech, and this is definitely in our wheelhouse. Is fintech increasing inclusivity and solving some of these issues?
Good question. Mhm.
Come on.
Inclusivity. I think so. I think it is opening up more doors and making things a bit more accessible. Um, yeah, I think it is.
I'll go a little bit deeper. These contraptions right here are changing everything
Mhm.
about our society. Everything. How we do our banking, how we invest, how we borrow money, how we get insurance. I mean, fintech is literally changing every aspect of our lives. The sad fact, though, is that there's so much stuff. I just named like 5 things technology can do when it comes to doing stuff with your money. There's not a lot when it comes to education. There's still not a lot about education. The folks on this podcast probably have done, you know what I'm saying, for our community a lot more than some of the stuff that's out there just in the banking space, y'all, when it comes to fintech. So I think that technology is the great democratizer only because it allows more people and allows you to scale your voice and scale your resource. But there's just still so much more to be done. So much more to be done.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know how effective fintech is right now. Like I don't know how effective. I don't know that people want to be educated on their phones. I feel like people
Mm,
naturally default to going to entertainment now.
yep.
That's the culture that the phones, the apps, it's just created this. I'm going here to escape,
Escape.
pass the
Well,
time.
but
Hmm.
Chris, are you saying that you think that people want to be educated outside their phone?
I
No, they don't
I
want to
Do
be
they
well,
want to be
educated.
I
educated?
don't know if I don't know if they want to
Good
be
luck, Chris.
educated at all. This is the thing.
That's the bigger question,
That's
right?
the bigger
Yeah, I
question.
don't
They don't
Yep.
I
want to
don't
be
know if they want to be,
educated.
but again, I mean, just how often outside of listening to something, right, on your phone, podcast, right, Audible, something along those lines, are we logging into an application to be educated on our phones? Like we still might do it from a computer base, right?
So
Maybe if we're doing
Hmm.
it from a computer. Yeah,
I'll counter with this, or maybe even piggyback. I think edutainment is where it's at. Look at Rashad and Todd. Look at Earn Your Leisure, EYL. Those guys. I've been following Todd's mission and these guys before they even started this thing, right? Rashad was an advisor up in New York doing this thing, but they struck a vein. They struck a vein because they started developing podcasts and things to edutain people and
Hmm.
bringing in some hip hop and bringing in some of the culture into the whole mix and started doing these conferences. And so now there's this sort of hybrid world where you go and you check out what they're putting on social, you go and check out their podcast, and they're talking about banking and things that to, prior to that, and I've been following this business for damn near 30 years, that wasn't around. That creature never existed. And so, from that perspective, technology, fintech ish, because it's touching some finances, is opening doors and making and allowing for more conversations that weren't being had before.
And
I agree.
and I think, I mean, but even edutainment can fall completely flat. Where it's working is because they've dialed in on what people want.
Mhm.
So if there's a specific type of humor that's like dry or dark, and there's an audience that really takes a lot of pleasure in that specific type of humor, and they don't even realize that the person that they are now following is actually subtly inserting different things about money skills. Okay, well, now
Hmm.
this entertainment has worked for them. But if we just simply put out a cartoon show about some money skills, it's not necessarily going to be that kids are going to want to watch it. Their parents might want them to, thinking that it's going to do the trick,
Hmm.
them financial literacy, but they have to want to do it.
Feel like there needs to be a mixture of all of the components, right? You need to have the phone, you're getting the edutainment from there, but then you also need a coach like you guys being able to talk to. You also need your community to be able to check all of the information that you're receiving against each other and see if it lines up and being able to access it in all of those different ways. I think the individual will get the most out of it because it's going to show that, okay, what I'm hearing from person A, B, and C, it all aligns. And now let's put these things into action, and then having someone holding them accountable that they're actually doing the things. And that's why I think that community part is really important, and maybe the missing component that a lot of individuals don't have access to make sure that everything that they're hearing is what they should be hearing.
That is a great quote, Derek, is make sure that what they're hearing is accurate. And Chris, that's what you were alluding to too, is I think that's part of it is, people get overwhelmed and they're like, well, this sounds good, but I know there's a lot of false information out there. Should I really follow this? And I think that's something, where technology can come in if it's a trusted technology provider. Um, so this has been an awesome conversation as always. So to close, let's do a quick summary of what our number one takeaway is for changing the way we think about financial literacy. Hey, do
I'll
you
go
want
ahead
to
and
lead
start
off?
off.
Oh, sorry,
Um,
Derek, go for
Oh, okay. I really
it.
love what Faith and Chris were saying about clarity on your goals, and now I think that's so important that you have a vision for what you want, and then you figure out a plan to get there, and nothing's impossible. And so that was a really positive, powerful takeaway for me.
Should I go next?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Well, I think that remembering as finance pros, the culture behind our goal can no longer be the subliminal desire to make someone else a finance pro, nor to make people feel like they can't operate without an advisor. I think we need to rethink what we mean by meet them where they are and find better ways to help them define their dreams. Because people will do what they want to do. The trick is to help them articulate that want and then hold it front and center.
That's good. I think major
Awesome.
takeaway is really just getting people to be able to decipher information that will benefit them at their level versus information that won't benefit them. Not just necessarily even right or wrong information, right myths and those things, but just what can I apply, right? What can I actually do? What information do I need to take in for me in my situation? I think we have to find a better mechanism or way to help people do that because there is so much information out there now. So
Chris stole mine, but I'm a throw a little bit. I'm gonna throw a little bit on top of his as it pertains to technology. AI is here. AI is real. If you all have not looked at the various ways that AI is impacting the financial services industry and financial services, the different things that can or can't be done, that I think is going to be a very powerful tool because as this being platform, whatever you want to call it, continues to grow and people start putting in questions into it at all these levels, the 101s, the 201s, the 301s, that's going to be a resource. It's not going to replace the advisor. It's not. But I think it can be a resource where technology allows people to go and get things that pertain to them specifically. You see what I'm saying? And get the answers that they need because hundreds or millions of people have poured that into this platform and it can now serve this mass and serve people. So that's why I think technology is going to be a big impact in the space.
Yeah, those are all awesome. I think my biggest takeaway was the comment about building safe, small communities where people feel okay, because I think that's one of the biggest things I encountered in my career was people not wanting to say that they didn't understand something. You know, nobody wanted to admit they don't know what an insurance premium is or how an insurance claim is paid. You know, all these things that we think people should know and they think they should know. So they don't want to say, gosh, what is a deductible again? How does that work? Because nobody wants to be that person who says, gosh, you know, I don't really know what I think I should know. So for me, I think the safe spaces are really important. Maybe for those of us who are advisors, you know, create those safe spaces for your clients and make sure that your clients feel comfortable saying that thing. If you're running a community, you know, or if you have a fintech out, you know, allow for people to really be open about what they don't know. Because for me, I think that's the biggest thing is encouraging people to be able to ask questions and feel safe in asking the question. So this is awesome. So where can everybody catch up with you guys? Faith, where can people find out what you're up to? The Savvy mini series. Give us your plug.
If you just go to faithteope.com, you can find all the things. And I love social media, so I'm on all the platforms.
Cool. And I'll give a shout out to Faith's miniseries, Savvy, which is still taking place. And there will be links to Savvy and everybody's website in the show notes. Derrick, where can people find you?
You can find me at seedlyng.com, SEEDLYNG, and learn all about the awesome things we're doing to close the financial literacy gap for all.
Definitely. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I like playing on social platforms. So everywhere on social at C Mouzon1, my first initial, last name, the number one, all platforms. You could also go to unitedagency.biz. That has all of our business stuff over there. We actually just dropped some ebooks for the month of April for financial literacy, the 101 levels. So 5 separate ebooks.
Mhm.
Again, find them anywhere on social. Go to the website and you can download those for free as well.
Awesome.
Nice.
And a shout out, Chris, to your Instagram channel. You've got some good videos going there, which are nice, easy videos for people who want just quick takes on different financial topics. And
Excellent.
Mac, more Money Bears.
Well, Money Bears, you could definitely find that out. We're going to be launching the game, the For Money Bears Berryville, soon. This will be a first of its kind game that teaches, analyzes, and tracks the financial education process through gamification as well as through, I don't want to use the term AI, but it's through looking at different adaptive learning technologies that we're going to be incorporating into it to make sure, hey, the kid's spending too much or a user spending too much, maybe they should be saving, and give them some quests to do some investing, to do some other different things. So we will have some adaptive learning aspects of it. And we also have Motivate Your Money, which is the platform that we built for grown people. And a little plug for myself. We picked up a really great client. United Healthcare actually is a client that we
Yeah.
picked up.
Nice.
For a lot of folks, they expect when you're young to not have knowledge, and then when all of a sudden magically when you're in your 30s, you should know all this stuff about money. And then when you retire, you don't know anything about money.
Yep.
So been working with them to develop some really neat multimedia financial education content for retirees. And so that's really the whole mission
Nice.
behind FinLit Tech, is to develop financial education platforms utilizing technology to leverage it and again, get more financial wellness out there.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. And for people subscribing to my newsletters, I'll have news about when the For Money Bears game Berryville drops. So you can check it out. And Faith, you have a book coming out soon, right?
I do. The Monster Job. It hits bookshelves on May 20th. So I'm pretty
All right.
stoked.
Yeah.
So
Congrats.
cool. So
Thank you.
yeah, for people who are
Tony's got a book.
subscribing to my
Tony's got a
newsletter,
book.
Get the book.
Tony's got a book. Go get it.
and you can pick up copies of the Get Ready Blueprint in any online bookstore. Chris, thank you for the plug. And thank you all for being here again today on the Get Ready Money podcast. Appreciate your time and insights.
It was great.
Bye.
Thanks, Tony.
Lots of fun.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Always a great time. And thank you, everyone, for tuning into this episode of the Get Ready Money podcast. If you learned something today to change the way you think about money, please share this with a friend and be sure to subscribe. Let's change the way we think about money.